Hello GAF family, welcome back to another vlog. First of all, I just want to say thank you guys so much. The last video was kind of a big deal to me, and I am just really thankful that that's how step one turned out for me. But also, I've literally gained so many subscribers and because of that video, and I am just so incredibly thankful, and thank you so much to those of you who congratulated me. And I say so many subscribers. I've got 62 now as of me recording this, and I am just so thrilled. I'm so excited, and thank you to those who commented. And I'm just happy that it seems like this channel is it's doing what I want it to do, which I want to be transparent. I want to help anyone as much as I can through the medical school experience, because it's freaking hard. And I just don't know. I'm kind of speechless with how things have been going, and I'm just so happy. And I obviously clearly couldn't do this without those who watch this, which are family, friends, and also other pre-meds or other med students, and maybe even those who have no idea what med school is and who these people are. But yeah, I'm just so happy. So this video is going to be about my USMLE Step 1 study plan. I'm going to kind of share all of the resources that I used, what my schedule was on an overview basis, what my daily schedule was, and also my practice exam scores. I just kind of want to show what all of that looks like, what it looked like for me. Now, I gathered a lot of inspiration from many different resources and other people about how to create this schedule, and it's gonna look differently for every single person. So if this works out for you, that's awesome. If it doesn't, that's awesome. You just have to do what works best for you. Also, just whenever I looked at other people's schedules, or if they cared to share that, I would just grab little bits and pieces from from all of them. So if you can find a little bit in this that you enjoy, that's awesome. Work with it, run with it. I also just wanted to say that to kind of start things off, my Mcat score was a 501, which is not competitive. It's slightly, I think it's the 51st percentile, so it's slightly above average. And it was kind of a miracle and an answer to prayer that I got into med school the first time around. And so I'm super thankful for that. And so everyone's story is gonna be different. I just wanted to say that. Your Mcat score and also your step 1 scores and the other step tests do not define you as a medical student, do not define you as a person, do not define you as a doctor, okay? I just wanted to get that out there. I would say everyone in my class are competent and will be great doctors and are great students. And we all got into med school. I have a huge problem, at least I kind of found out. I struggle with imposter syndrome, which is, why am I in med school? I am not smart enough, I am not qualified, and especially because of my Mcat score, I just thought, I got in through a loophole. But that's not healthy thinking, and that's also not helpful for you as a doctor and as a med student. So I'm trying to break that, but also trying to share that I could get not the best Mcat score, but do well on STEP. Yeah, I just wanted to say that regardless, those scores do not define you as a person, as a doctor, do not define your success. Now, another thing that I've also been thinking about, and many of my friends have as well, Step 1 is becoming pass-fail in this next coming year of 2022. So my class is the last, or at least this year is the last one that's going to be scored. So a lot of different questions come into play, because the cycle that I will apply to residency will include both scored step 1s and pass-fail step 1s. There have been very limited answers as to how they're going to basically use our scores and use pass-fail. I don't know anything about it. I haven't heard much from residency programs. I'm not sure that they know what they want to do yet. But yeah, I could be freaking out for no reason. What if the residency program is like, all right, this score right here is going to count as a pass or a fail, So maybe all of this work that I put in to get a score that I like, and then it's nothing. Who knows? We don't know. But we're running with it. We're doing what we can, doing what is given to us, which is all we can really do in life, okay? I'm going to start out by talking about the resources that I used. which are going to be quite a bit, but I will start off by saying I didn't use really any of my school's resources or anything from that curriculum, which kind of sounds like a lot of other med students are doing because these third-party external sources are just kind of cut, dry, standardized for your exams and for boards. And so that's what I used, and that's what helped me the most. I used Boards and Beyond, and I also used Anki, Amboss, UWorld, hi buddy, Sketchy. I used Sketchy Farm and Sketchy Micro, and then I also used First Aid, which was the 2020 version. I know that the 2021 came out with, especially when it comes to the ethics, and that's getting a bigger play in Step 1. Hi. And so, yeah. Those are getting bigger plays. The next thing that I want to talk about is kind of my schedule overview. So when I started studying for STEP and my school's dedicated period, kind of what that looked like. So I took STEP on March 5th. I was originally scheduled to take it March 9th, but with just how scores were going, how I was feeling personally, I needed to take it a little bit earlier. So I did. So I would say that I had about 10 weeks to study for Step 1. So I had about 10 weeks to study for Step 1. I'm gonna say weeks 1 through 4 were my pre-dedicated period because we were still doing stuff with my school's curriculum that was before the actual dedicated period. So I was kind of starting out lighter and kind of finishing up the review of all of the organ systems, basically. And so at that point, I was working with Amboss. So I did get that subscription for myself. I did around 40 questions a day, weeks 1 and week 2. Week 3 and week 4, I bumped it up to 80 questions. And I did like using Amboss because for me, I really needed to use their tools of, here's the important stuff in the question stem. I think their explanations are great. The only bad thing that was a little bit rough were sometimes their questions are insanely specific and you probably will never see again, at least on boards. I'm not sure about clinical experience, but it kind of sounds like it would be pretty rare. And then during dedicated, which was my school's dedicated period, we had 8 weeks allotted this year. I only used 6. I was planning on 7, where I had to take it whenever my original date was. And so from there, week 5, I still did 80 questions. Week 6 and week 7, I bumped it up to 100. And then week 8, 9, and 10, which were the last 3 weeks of my dedicated, I did 120 questions. And during dedicated, I then switched over to UWorld. So those were the Q banks that I used, the weeks that I used them in, and the questions per day according to that week, how I did. So on a daily schedule, so this is kind of me saying, okay, this is me during dedicated. So this is whenever I don't have any mandatory school things. Literally every day is for me to study 4 steps. So I woke up around 7:15. It kind of just depended on the day, but I wanted to at least start my first block at 8 a.m. That usually takes about an hour. And so then I would start my block 1 review by 9. And especially starting out earlier, it might take you longer than an hour or 2 to review that full block. So you're reviewing the missed questions, you're kind of seeing what you got right, why you got it right, understanding what you did with each one. Then I would start my block 2 around 11 a.m. and then that would take me between an hour and 2 hours to finish. Hi, can you sit? Good boy. And I know that in this schedule, I didn't put when my lunch was. So it kind of just depended each day on how much time I felt I had to make lunch, how much time I had in the day to make lunch, or if I could do an easier lunch. And I would kind of just make it, maybe give myself a 10 or 15 minute break here and there to eat it. I also know that I didn't put when I took a break in this schedule. Some people need to have allotted breaks. Here's when I get my break. Here's when I don't get my break. And for me, I just kind of did it when I could and kind of listened to my body, listened to how I was feeling, and that's when I took my break. Then around 2 is whenever I started my 3rd block of the day. Then I would review that for an hour or 2. It was usually after lunch. I would go to the school's library and would just kind of be around friends and kind of get out of the house, which was actually really nice. I definitely needed. And so then I would spend block 3 the third block and running through that at the school. Then from 5 to 6 usually for about an hour or so is whenever I would watch Pathoma. So I tried to get through at least Pathoma one time during dedicated. And I would also exercise while doing it. So I would be on the treadmill, I would jog, I would walk, and I would do that the whole time I was watching my Pathoma videos. Then around 7 or so, I'd have a dinner and a break. I would kind of chill out for the evening. And then between like 8 or 9 is when I would go to bed, but I would do my Anki cards for that day. So after each block for missed questions, I would create my own Anki cards and I would put those in their own deck. And so it kind of just depended how well I was doing that day, how many cards I had to make. And so yeah, I would make sure that I did all of those cards every day. I'd do the reviews, I'd make the new ones that I needed to. I also used Anki to go through the Sketchy Farm, Sketchy Micro decks, kind of ones that I needed to hit. Drop it, ready, take it. So whenever I was going through my Pathoma videos, I used Cram Fighter a lot as well. So Cram Fighter helped to so that was what I knew, what Pathoma videos to watch in the day. That was what I knew to go through first aid. So I kind of followed first aid's organ system order, and I followed that and kind of did a full review, just kind of glancing over the first aid pages. I would write in the margins, during my regular school year as I watched Boards and Beyond. Anything that I wanted to put in there, I put in there. And I also kind of sprinkled in Anki throughout the day whenever I needed to, and just so I wasn't like completely bombarded at the end of the day. Now, on a day-to-day basis, I probably ended up with between 700 to 1,000 reviews in the day. That was a little excessive, so what I tried to do with organ systems that I was struggling with, I created an Anki deck for each organ system, and I used the OnKing deck, which you can find on Reddit. Literally just Google OnKing Reddit, and it'll bring you to that deck. And I would put in like any Boards and Beyond or Pathoma and first aid cards that I felt that I wasn't very comfortable with. I tried to hit up on those weaknesses. Then I put those in that deck. And whenever I felt like I needed to look back at that deck, then I would look back at that deck. And so that kind of helped me not be as overwhelmed with how many reviews I was doing every day, because I didn't want to kill myself doing that. And it can get very monotonous. You don't want to burn yourself out during dedicated, because that is a very possible thing. So I would kind of shut down around 10 p.m. I took Benadryl every day to go to bed, because I really struggle with falling asleep, and I'm still doing that. So I need to break that at some point. But yeah, that's what I did. That was kind of like my daily schedule. Obviously, it was between 10 to 12 hours a day. It was rough, but with listening to your body and taking the breaks that you need, taking the half days that you need, I would go Monday through Saturday doing that full daily schedule. So Sundays were my days off, did absolutely nothing, tried not to do anything. That's kind of what I did that was helpful for me. So the next thing that I want to talk about are exam scores. In pre-dedicated, the exams that I used were given to us by my school, which was super helpful. I mean, I was totally down to take them, and we had to anyway. But week 2, we took the CBSE. Some schools make you have to pass that CBSE before you can take step 1. My school was different. They just, these tests were to kind of see where you were, where you needed to put more effort in, kind of establish your weaknesses and your strengths. So my CBSE was a 183, which is not passing. Passing is a 194. So as you can kind of see, I went from a 183 NBME CBSE to a 243. So that's quite a big jump, which is good because you can do that jump. I did it. And then week 3, we did the pathology NBME. I got a 67. I'm sorry, I have no idea what that looks like on a curve. I know that I think I was like below average of my class. They gave us like an average score of, how my class did, and I think I did below average on that one. Then week 4, I took Form 22 with the school, and I got a 209. So that was like, okay, great, you're passing. This is good. And I was at least happy that okay, this is where I am right now. But yeah. So week 5, was, so this is whenever I started my actual dedicated period. I took UWorld Self-Assessment 1 and I got a 239. So once I saw that 239, I was like, what's going on? And so UWorld 1 is supposed to be known as like it really overinflates your score. Was it accurate to my 243? I guess like kind of, but I still had 6 weeks of studying to get through before I took step 1. So I don't know if it's more of like a predictive score, you know, at the beginning of your dedicated. That's kind of weird. Anyway, so week 6, form 24, I got a 214. Now, I wasn't super thrilled about the 214. At that point, I was kind of thinking, oh, you should probably be in the 220s, because over 2 weeks I had jumped over like just 5 points. And so I wasn't thrilled about that. I tried to keep my expectations in check, which is kind of hard for me because I put a lot of stress and anxiety on myself that I shouldn't, but it's what you get for being a med student. Week 7, I took a break, so I tried to put in between 10 to 14 days in between each practice exam. That's kind of what we were told. And so I tried to follow that as much as I could, just so you have enough time to review your weaknesses, put some more time in, and then you'll be able to see like whether your score is adjusting or not. Week 8 is when I took form 23 and I got a 225 on that. So I was like, okay, all right, I got 2 weeks left. Let's see how I do. And from what I've heard about NBMEs, they're kind of known to underinflate. Yeah, so take that with a grain of salt. I had no idea. I think it definitely was probably underinflated. So maybe at that point, if I took step 1, I might have been scoring in the 230s at that point. I'm not sure. Then week 9, so the week before I took step 1, I took UWorld 2. And that's where I got my 245, which was the most predictive for me and is also known to be as the most predictive for most other students who take step 1. So then week 10, so that's like 10 weeks of study, I took my USMLE Step 1 and then I got my 243. So yeah, another resource that I also tried to use, which also, use it with a grain of salt. I did look at a USMLE Step 1 score predictor that some god made. I love it. But it kind of helped me kind of see where I was potentially scoring. But I will be honest in saying that it was literally almost, if you put these scores into that score predictor, I'm not sure how accurate it is. I think it's fairly accurate, but I wasn't always seeing like the jumps that I think I should have been seeing. I was kind of always in the 230s, 240s range, but I mean, clearly you can see that these scores were not always there. So just use it appropriately, I would say, but that helped keep me motivated. Because whenever I saw so on Form 24, when I looked at that and saw it was a 214, I think maybe it was like a 230 or low 230s on that score predictor. And I was like, okay, I'm not like that low, if that makes any sense. So we'll see. And here are my final tips, things that I wish I had done differently. And the first one is, I wish I had started UWorld earlier. I wish I had started it a little bit earlier and pre-dedicated, because I only got through 86% of UWorld by the time I took step 1. I think I had around 400 questions left that I had not finished. And that might be a cardinal sin to some of you, and I totally get that. Maybe I could have gotten a few extra points. Who knows? I wish I had started that earlier. Another thing that I wish I had done better at was, I wish I had maintained my Anki decks better after each organ system that I studied with in school. So trying to keep the review cards going as I was learning new information. But at the end of the day, you were ending up with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 reviews in the day. And I was just starting to burn out with Anki. So could I have actually done it and maintained my sanity? I have no idea. But if you're able to maintain your Anki decks throughout your med school career, that'd be great. If you can't, then don't worry about it. Just kind of negotiate with what you're doing. Listen to your body. That's like a huge thing. That's another tip. Listen to your body, listen to your mental health. I mean, I don't know how many days I had just rough days. and I probably hit my lowest point. I think it was like week 2 of actual dedicated. I like scored a 50% on my UWorld block, and like 50%, like if you score 50%, y'all, that's totally okay. It's not abnormal to get just random low scores like that on a block. It could be hitting a bunch of your weaknesses. You could be making dumb mistakes that like you just need to reevaluate, and you're gonna be totally fine. Oh my gosh, I hit a really low point in my mental health, and I got drunk at like 10 a.m. So we don't want to do that. Just be aware of the support that you need. Really rely on your friends, rely on your other medical school colleagues, rely on M3s and M4s who have taken STEP before. Listen to their advice, ask them questions that you need to ask. They are more than willing to help you out, and that was just a huge thing for me, was having their expertise in it, because they had taken it before and they knew exactly what to do, or you know, they could tell you what they did. So, oh man, I'm hoping I'm not forgetting anything, but if anyone else has any questions, please comment down below. I am more than happy to kind of share my experience, and maybe I can kind of figure out what some of my friends did and, you know, kind of share that too. But anyway, wow, if you got through this video, if you got through it, good job. You did awesome. Obviously this was my schedule. You don't have to follow it. You don't have to do anything with it. You can take little parts of it, whatever your heart desires. But if you are taking step 1, if you are in dedicated, you freaking got this. Good luck. Seriously, you are in med school for a reason. Regardless of what you got on your MCAT, regardless of what you got on your exams during your years 1 and 2, just put that all behind you, because this is a whole other ordeal. This is a whole new thing. The questions are different. I liked this a lot more than MCAT, but honestly, this was the most stressed out I've ever been in my entire life. It happens. It's gonna happen, but you've got this. It's a marathon, one day at a time. You're gonna freaking crush it. And if you don't get the score that you want, step 1 does not define you, does not define your residency application. And just know that once this is done, you can put it behind you. That's a closed door. That's a huge freaking door to close. But yeah, if you enjoy this content, please subscribe right now. Subscribe and follow, and also click that bell if you would like to get, I know she's not there, but she's down there. But click that bell, and then you will get notifications of whenever I release more vlogs. And also, little sneak peek, we added a new family member, and that'll be the next vlog. I'm super excited for you to see. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this vlog. Thank you so much for following on this journey. And I'm just so excited to see where it takes me, and starting clinicals and rotations, and hopefully being able to share some of my experience with that when that time comes. But anyway, step 1 is done. We're peacing out. God.